What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for August 3rd, 2026. CIG is pushing to get 4.10 out pretty soon, but I'm not so sure it's ready yet, but that ship sale is. Foundation Festival is here, so I guess get your guide shoes on. There's not much going on there, really. And Siege is gonna be a permanent part of the game. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first Week in Review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into a video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. I do got the Twitch drops running, and man, you guys have been so supportive this week. It was crazy. I really appreciate it. Tons of you guys came over from here to say, hey, I only watch on YouTube, and but I'm here for this, so thank you so much for that. But we have a ton to get through this week, so let's jump into the patch notes. All right, we started out on Monday where we got a launcher update. Pretty simple here. It was just preparation for Foundation Festival and the guide system actually being added to the launcher. On Monday, we also had another small but impactful PTU update here. They're still balancing the fuel stuff, so more on that later in the week, but hydrogen is on the list here, and they're not just making the tanks smaller, they're also reducing consumption. For bugs, the last one here is always worth mentioning. They're actually working on voice over IP, which has appeared to be working a little better of late in live, and now more stuff going on in the PTU. Tuesday, another 4.10 PTU. This is just making it official that the Arlington rifle is in the game with some stats, but this description, guys, I can't do it. They are literally going to marketing or lore to sell us on this gun. Where better to use it than the new Siege of Orison? This is 100% in the next monthly bundle, by the way, which is why this is here probably. It's also way too strong, I feel. So yeah, be ready for that shotgun part of the gun to be probably nerfed to the ground. On Wednesday, 4.10 PTU. Again, all of these are wave 1. It was the first interesting thing in the PTU this week, in my opinion. They're testing their next event grind called Orison Relief Support. This is similar to all the other kind of resource drivey events. Haul, salvage, and bring it to Orison for points and get rewards at different parts of the track. You know how it works by now. Now, note the note. What's different about this event is it actually involves crafting something, which is cool to be honest, but these missions do not currently work in the PTU, so I can't show you them necessarily. So I just did a quick cargo mission to unlock the track. The rewards aren't even in yet, so considering how all easy this kind of thing is, I would just hold off until it's either more in or just wait until live. Now, given how many points I got versus how many we need, assume that you'll be able to work with your org and share points here, but we'll have to see. Wednesday, Foundation Festival went live as well, so we see another free fly, and this year's kind of Foundation Festival, of course, is centered around the guide system, so more on that. So naturally, the highlight is the launcher update that we had just talked about. CIG has their welcome hub, so they're kind of pushing that. And then the Twitch drops, which again, thank you for all the support. The referral reward also gives you the Atlas, which kind of goes along with the Foundation Festival Twitch drop thing. So if you're the referrer, you get an Atlas, and then you can apply the paint to it, which is kind of interesting. And then some new armors and stuff as well. Also, there are more sales on this page than information about the actual event. 2026 is truly the best year of Star Citizen ever, right? Thursday, 4.10 PTU. Another more interesting bit. Reko's story missions are in, kind of. They're meant to be 3, but only 1 or 2 are technically working, but I can't figure out if it's the 3rd that I can't get or the 2nd. I'm not really sure, but I have to say, I think they did a pretty solid job in terms of narrative for what we do have here. The mission giver updates kind of happen quite often. They're timely, and the other characters that you interact with do the same. The flow just felt really nice. I think their biggest mistake here was releasing the boarding mission to the public in 4.9, so we've already done it like 4,000 times, and it makes it less interesting and exciting, but in a vacuum, the mission is really well done, to be honest. The mining intro mission is quite good as well. I wish it taught you that what material quality is and that some material's not actually good, but I also hope they scrap the whole quality system anyway, so maybe it's best not to. The biggest letdown is all the instancing work. It took Recco like 5 minutes to talk to me, and it was still super scuffed.
As you might have guessed, I'm Recco Battaglia. I coordinate with all the sledgers and dredgers to make sure they get the support they need. Anyway, I like to meet my people before sending them out. But what do you say? Want to hear about the gig?
Remember all this talk about the bartender like 3 years ago, that it was going to yield so much for mission givers and all this stuff? It was going to improve everything. The experience from the bartenders that we have, it felt exactly this. It felt identical here. So yeah, like we are not improving on the experience from old Recco, Tisha Pacheco, Miles Eckerd, and more, right? It's kind of sad, to be honest. So hopefully they nail this down, but man, instancing is not yielding too much here. More on that in the Friday PTU. The main thing of note here is that they jumped from Wave 1, which is basically just people who paid too much for the game or have a subscription, to Open PTU, where anyone can try. The only thing in the notes is bug fixes, and there isn't anything super of note that I would want to point out to you, so I decided to see if Siege of Orison is working better or more fun or more dangerous for a bit. So I tried a solo run and just kind of run it down to see if the AI are more snappy. And as there was a mention in a few of the notes that they're doing some improvements on them. My server FPS was 6. The AI were mostly brain dead, and I was having so many issues with weapon swapping, like with my med gun and stuff. I just logged off. Not a great look. There's also a really big fuel rebalance here that just went in with QT drive. So check out some of the third-party sites if you want. I think we'll see more balance for this next week, but I was able to travel much further in a single-seater than I have previously. And lastly, Jared posted under Morph's tweet about how great Siege is. Okay, to tell us that this will be a permanent sandbox activity in the game. First, I didn't get it. It makes no sense for Crusader to allow something like this to kind of go on endlessly. But would a giant space laser like Hathor that opens a cave to valuable gems stay abandoned forever? Would the irradiated Valakar not be dealt with permanently? It's a video game, so suspend some disbelief. I'll do the same. And then we had hotfixes this week as well. So 2 this week, 1 on Tuesday, and there were some like server error like issues and stability that they were trying to work on. And Thursday, more hotfixes for some random bugs as well as other stability, but nothing too groundbreaking. So those are our patch notes. With that, let's move into roadmap updates. And yeah, this is going to be a quick one. Half of the update was just committing the things that were meant to be in 4.9 to 4.10, which is essentially just 4.9.1. So the super heavy armor, instancing, item recovery for ships, siege, fuel consumption rebalance, and a few more things. Nothing we didn't already know here. The second is them noting that Recco's story missions are remaining tentative, so they may not actually make it in, but we'll see. By Friday, like you saw, they're mostly working, but she isn't, so maybe that's the holdup. I'm not sure. And yeah, you could see here them begging for help with feedback a little bit. I don't know if it's begging, but yeah, I don't think too many people are testing on the PTU that much right now, and I think 4.10 is going to look a lot like 4.8 or 4.9 in terms of things around the game being mostly broken. They're fixing a lot of bugs, but not enough to make up for the new ones that are being created or the fact that the whole game is bugged. But I would argue most of the replayable content is, yeah, like just still suffering big time, and we're not seeing a lot of fixes for that, so I don't have high hopes. So that's our roadmap update. Very, very short one. Let's move into other updates, which is unfortunately pretty short as well. Of course, we start out with a sneak peek, and surprise, surprise, another ship sale, everyone. This is an image of an upcoming ship from Kruger that we've been hearing about for a little while now, the Stingray. I have nothing to add to this. I haven't looked at any leaks. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't really care. We're just being marketed at every single turn this year. And speaking of marketing, it's that time of year again. Ship Showdown is here, where CIG lets us post on socials to improve their social media, I guess, presence, and about our favorite ships and the most popular ones. Even though we all know CIG is likely choosing the ships themselves for the tournament, we'll make it into the round of 16 where we vote on which ships we want a weird looking paint for. So what's even funnier is CIG couldn't go 5 minutes without running another sale, so you could pick up the finalists from last year right now. How exciting! As well as a $1,400 pack with all of them in it. What a good deal. And with that, that's all of our news for this week, because, you know, we're not seeing a lot of video content or other things. And yeah, so I don't really have too much to say about the video content thing. I talked a lot about it on my TV channel this week, so check that video out if you haven't yet. But the long and short of it is, the game has no content. So how are they supposed to have video content, right? This year has been very, very weird, where it's just been sale after sale after sale, but the content is not as exciting as it was last year. I'm not sure this cadence is working fantastically anymore for them, but Squadron 42 seems to be very, very, very much the only priority right now. Video content wise, game content, everything is likely what's happening here. And yeah, I don't know if it's going to change when Squadron comes out. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's very clear that Star Citizen is on the back burner at this moment for nearly everything. And it just is what it is. So I don't think this is just a summer slump like we get every year. I think this is something totally different. I think this is way more Squadron priority, and it is what it is. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you didn't, you know what to do. And yeah, if you're enjoying Weeks in Review and you're not subscribed yet, get subscribed and leave a comment on anything that we talked about today or anything we might have missed. As always, all the links to the sources are down in the description, usually in order on which we talked about them. So yeah, check those out if you guys haven't yet. And with that, guys, I will see you all next week.